Joining me today is Morris Davis. He is a retired Air Force colonel who was the chief prosecutor for the military commissions at Guantanamo Bay. He's now a professor at the Howard University School of Law. Great to have you with us today. Talk to us a little bit about your work at Guantanamo.
I was the third chief prosecutor. President Bush first authorized military commissions back in November of 2001. I came on board in September of 2005 and was there until October 2007. Currently, Brigadier General Mark Martin is the chief prosecutor. He's number 6. I tell you, for an attorney, it was probably one of the most interesting experiences you could ever have, but also one of the most frustrating. As you know, in 11 plus years, we've had a grand total of 7 military commissions, so it hadn't been a rousing success.
Right, so what did you do all day? I mean, when we look just factually speaking at the number of actual commissions that took place, and there's a whole staff of people that are working there, were you preparing cases that never happened, or was it not even getting to that point?
Yeah, it was largely spent preparing cases that have never happened and likely never will happen. At the time I was there, the total population at Guantanamo was 779 men over its history. There were about 75 that we were looking at as potential candidates for criminal prosecution. So, it included, from like Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, who was probably the best known detainee at Guantanamo, to at the other end of the spectrum, people like David Hicks and Salim Hamdan. So we spent a lot of time reviewing evidence and looking at cases for the potential for prosecution. But we also spent a large amount of time just trying to jury rig this process. The time I came on board in 2005, the propriety of the military commissions was being litigated in federal court. In fact, Salim Hamdan in June of 2006 won at the Supreme Court, where the court held that President Bush didn't have the unilateral authority to create military commissions. It required the intervention of Congress. So, spent time working with Congress to implement and create the Military Commissions Act of 2006, and then also spent a large amount of time trying to get the Defense Department to agree to declassify information so we could share it with the accused for his trial, and then also to try to have public proceedings to have some transparency on this process that we hadn't used since World War II.
Were there kind of candid discussions amongst the prosecutors about what are we doing here? Why are we holding some of these people? This is completely extrajudicial. Did those kind of candid discussions happen?
They did. At times there were discussions about the whole propriety of Guantanamo in general and the military commissions in particular. I can tell you, the uniformed services, the people in uniform were unanimously opposed to ever creating Guantanamo. And they're also unanimously opposed to creating these military commissions that we hadn't used since World War II. But the judge advocates general, the 3-star attorneys from each of the services were overruled by political appointees during the Bush administration that just excluded them from the conversation. They weren't on board with it, so they were just kind of set aside. And this was really a mission that the military never asked for, it never wanted, it never thought was necessary, but it got stuck with it anyway. And so I think we, tried to make the best of it, but it's been almost a dozen years now, and Guantanamo's been an embarrassment for the country. The military commissions have been a black eye for military law, so it's just been a huge waste of money and time and effort that could have been better spent doing things that really did contribute to national security.
Right, and as we've discussed on my program before, President Obama citing the closing of Guantanamo Bay as kind of a very specific and important first-term priority. Of course, it didn't end up happening. Do you think it was just a strategic mistake that the president made, or the then candidate made, because it was just not really feasible to unilaterally close it? Or do you think that his intentions were good and there were other obstacles that got in the way?
Well, I think initially the Obama administration was just naive. If you recall back in 2008, remember President Bush said he didn't want to keep Guantanamo open a day longer than he had to.
Right.
You had Obama and McCain both campaigning for election saying they wanted to close Guantanamo. I think he came into office believing this was kind of low-hanging fruit, that it was a nonpartisan issue that everybody agreed on. But as soon as he took office, you had the Mitch McConnells and the Dick Cheneys and those types who, whatever Obama was for, they were against. And so it became a game of political football that I don't think he was prepared to fight. So the critics came forward, laid out the arguments why Guantanamo should be kept open, and pitched this to the public as either you're with us or you're with the terrorists. And the president just kind of sat quietly. I mean, you didn't really hear him say anything much about Guantanamo from May of 2009, when he gave an excellent speech at the National Archives, until May of 2013, when he gave another great speech at the National Defense University. But, we don't need a lecture, we need a leader to get Guantanamo closed.
We have limited time left, but I do want to get your thoughts on President Obama's announcement yesterday that James Clapper, the Director of National Intelligence, is going to head a review group that is going to assess the nation's intelligence gathering and surveillance capabilities. For people who don't know, Clapper recently had to apologize for making what he described as an erroneous statement to Congress, saying that the NSA does not collect data on Americans. He said, no, there are cases where they could inadvertently perhaps collect, but not wittingly. We now know that to be completely false. What's your analysis of whether this is the right person to be reviewing the surveillance that's going on?
Well, to me, it makes as much sense as having Roger Clemens head up the investigation of steroids in baseball.
Right.
He did the same thing. He lied to Congress. I think General Clapper's original statement and interview was he provided the least untruthful answer possible.
Right.
Which most people call a lie. But that said, I've known General Clapper for nearly 30 years. I mean, I wouldn't have had a career in the Air Force but for the help of General Clapper. So I've known him for a long time. He's a good guy. He was the director, the Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence for the latter part of my tour as Chief Prosecutor, and really worked hard to try to help me get information declassified. But unfortunately, like many others, like Harold Coe and others that came into the administration, I think with good intentions, I think once they got the job, I think maybe their better judgment was overridden by, the political winds that blow throughout the White House. So, I think it would be better, if the president really wants to have some transparency and debate on this issue, that just because of the optics, it looks bad having the guy that lied to Congress about the programs now in charge of reviewing the program. So I think it would have been a wise move to have put some distance between General Clapper and this process.
I'll say. We've been speaking with Morris Davis. He's a retired Air Force colonel, chief prosecutor for the military commissions at Guantanamo Bay, now a professor at Howard University's School of Law. Really a pleasure to have you on. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you.